Yo, what is good, YouTube? And welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best budget cards to buy at each position here in NBA 2K25 My Team. Now, the term budget can be a little bit subjective, especially with all of these Gems of the Game cards, which by the way, are going to be a lot of the cards that I recommend in this video. Now, for me, I would say budget is probably sub 50K MT. That is, I know, a kind of high, steep price point, but there's just not really good cards you're going to get sub 10K, although there are. Maybe you can get a couple decent Sapphires and stuff, but I'm going to go around sub 50K in my estimation, and not every single one of these cards is going to be exactly sub 50K, but this list is going to include a bunch of these Gems of the Game cards, including a bunch of other cards as well, but a lot of Gems of the Games included in this, guys, who I'm going to recommend at each position. So we're going to go position by position and break down a few options that you should be targeting in my team right now. So before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 30,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, tons of consistent daily My Team content, pushing towards that 30K mark, less than 300 subscribers away, so I'd really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. The problem with a lot of these positions is the budget cards just aren't super plentiful, and the point guard position is probably the best example of that, to be completely honest. There are not a ton of elite budget point guards, but number one on the list, I think pretty definitively, is this Ruby D'Anthony Melton. Now, he is very rare. He is not a super common card in the auction house, but if you can find yourself a D'Anthony Melton for 30, 40, 50,000 MT, I know that feels like a lot for a Ruby, but 84 mid-range, 83 3-ball, solid dunker, elite versatile defender, good on the interior, 89 speed and 87 agility, got good size at PG at 6'3", nice all-around badges, and has a absolutely awesome release as well. Very good defender. I think he's a great card, and the thing about the point guard position, and really every position, is that your next, like the lowest diamonds you're going to get are going to be above that 50K MT mark, although I will say at the point guard position specifically, if you have a little bit more MT, I know he doesn't really fit the budget theme a ton, but he's not significantly over 50K, and especially if his price drops a little bit more. Kenny Anderson could be a good buy, especially if you can get him a little lower than even right now at the 67K MT price point, because I think he's an awesome card as well. And yes, he's not quite as budget, but the PG position is so limited that I think he's a good option. Outside of that, you are really, really limited in terms of budget point guards. Your next best option is maybe a guy like Steph Curry. Baron Davis, Gems of the Game, would be a guy I'd recommend as well, but he's just too expensive. Like, the card is basically, again, pretty non-existent, and even if you do see him, I think he winds up just being a bit too expensive at this point in the game for that type of buy, and there's just nobody else who really jumps out at me at the point guard position is a great buy. I mean, the Starberry Marbury card is good, but if you're using this card, you might as well just use Amethyst Derrick Rose from buying the Season 8 Pro Pass last year if you have that card. You could use Amethyst Steph from Series 1, but I don't think he's an exceptional PG in my opinion. I just think the point guard position is pretty limited right now, so not a ton of elite budget cards to buy, unfortunately. All right, moving on to the shooting guard position. You're honestly kind of in pretty much the same boat at the shooting guard position as you are at the point guard position. Your best options are either a little bit too expensive for that budget tier or just not truly elite cards. For example, Gems of the Game. Kerry Kittles is awesome, but you're probably not getting this card. I mean, 68 KMT is a little bit over that 50 KMT price point. If you can find one a little cheaper than that, that's awesome. He's a great card, but it's a little bit over that price range again. Other budget shooting guards, J.R. Smith, Michael Finley, not amazing. This John Long card actually isn't bad. He's a guy who, if you could find a decent value on him, he's pretty solid. I think this card is pretty slept on. It's not a huge name, but he's athletic, a good shooter, and a pretty versatile, solid defender himself. So if you could find him at a decent price point, he's not a bad option. The base Amethyst shooting guards, I mean, Devin Booker and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just are not great. There are a lot of really good diamond shooting guards, but again, those guys are a bit too expensive. Guys like Anthony Parker and ML Carr are buyouts, but they're not super affordable buyouts, I wouldn't say. So again, the shooting guard position kind of leaves you at the same spot, although I will say this Calbert Chaney card is really good. 6'7", versatile defender, a lot of total badges, like 25-ish total badges as a base card, which is really nice, and can put the ball on the floor a bit, has an absolutely great release, and is a really, really solid defender. So he's a nice card if you can find a Calbert Chaney for a decent price, which he's going to be a bit more affordable than a guy like Kerry Kittles, for example, would be as an Amethyst Gems of the Game card. But still, I do believe at the shooting guard position, you're you're kind of in that same boat where you're just a bit limited in terms of options. There just aren't very many elite level shooting guard options that are viable right now in my team, and I know that's a bit of a shame to say, but it's just entirely true. Deshaun Stevenson, also not bad. If you want a 3-and-D, he's not quite as good, I wouldn't say, as Calbert Chaney, but he's good in of itself as well as a 3-and-D. Really solid budget shooting guard. You see 29 KMT right there. If you can find a Deshaun Stevenson, I should say, for somewhere around there, that's not a bad option either. He and Calbert Chaney are good gems of the game shooting guards to suggest and to target if you can get them. And again, the shooting guard position also does have T-Mac Vince Carter, T-Mac level 40, Vince Carter Pro Pass, so those are good options as well. And like I said, some good diamonds and some good other viable cards that are slightly above budget. Now, I think small forward is where budget cards really get a lot easier right now. And again, I'm hoping that we get more budget cards in the in the Ironclad drop that is coming tomorrow, because that would really, I think, help in a lot of ways if we get some really nice budget cards at the shooting guard, at other positions, I should say. But the small forward position is really one of the few positions that has great budget cards. Number one, Sharif Abdur-Rahim, small forward or power forward. He's an elite card. He's gone up in price a bit. Okay, no, he hasn't. Never mind. I thought he had gone up in price. It looks like he's still just over that 20 KMT price point, so that's a little more reasonable. He does seem like he likely may go up in price a little bit, but with that being said, he's a really nice card. He's got an awesome, in my opinion, he's got a release I like a lot. Some people don't like it, but I think it's very easy to green. He's a versatile defender, can play the 3 or the 4 at a high level. I like this card a lot, and he's more attainable as a budget card than a lot of the gems in the game cards as well, which is super duper nice. Another really good 3-and-D small forward is Bruce Bowen, although he is absolutely non-existent. It is crazy the way that supply and demand is working on this game. The fact there are no Bruce Bowens on the auction house right now is wild to me. With that being said, another guy who's probably somewhere around that 20 KMT price point most of the time. Generally, there's at least a few Bruce Bowens on the auction house. The fact there's not a single one right now is crazy as I record this video, but I do believe Bruce Bowen is a very, very good card as well, and if you can get him at the small forward position, both he and Sharif are generally more readily available than these gems of the game cards, and I think they're very good. Another elite level small forward is this James Posey. He's not common, but if you can get him for a decent price as the gems of the game, he is amazing. Another good gems of the game small forward is this Jaime Jaquez. Now, I would not pay 54K for him, but you can definitely find him for cheaper than that. He comes with base gold limitless in addition to set shot specialist and badges like on-ball menace, glove, post lockdown, posterizer. He's a good athlete, has a nice release, can shoot from range, and then also is a very versatile defender. 80 plus across the board defensively is really nice. Couple of decent sapphires as well. By the way, this Trenton Hassel, I could have shouted him out as a shooting guard option. If you can find him, he's cheap, he's good as a shooting guard. Definitely not a bad option. But small forward wise, this Wilson Chandler is really good if you can get him. He's 6'8" at small forward. He's not super cheap himself, but he's got on-ball menace, interceptor, pick dodger, off-ball, pest, post, lockdown, gold slippery, off-ball, and set shot specialist as well. Even silver handles for days, challenger glove, movable enforcer. Like, really nice card in his own right. Very, very nice budget small forward as well. So there are, I think, a few more good small forward options. This Emerald or Sapphire Rudy Gay, again, would not pay 46K for him. That's too much right now, but he doesn't have the same level of badges, but has an elite release and has a lot of size. Big player, both the small forward position. Also a very good card, 83 ball, very athletic card, just not as elite defensively, but also a pretty solid card. And so I think the small forward position does generally give you a few more good budget options to work with if you're looking for those, and hopefully those are a few helpful names. Power forward, I know I already mentioned him, but Sharif Abdur-Rahim is kind of your no-brainer best option at the power forward position right now in terms of readily available budget cards. There are some other solid ones as well, but I think for his price around that 22, 25, whatever thousand MT price point, I think you're getting yourself a really, really good card in Sharif Abdur-Rahim. And I think he can be a little bit, he's not really slept on, but power forward, small forward, wherever you need him, he's absolutely elite. And I think he's kind of a must-have because he plays like a diamond. I truly believe he does. He's a phenomenal, phenomenal option. With that being said, outside of Sharif at the small forward position, I do think you're again a little bit limited, or at the power forward position, I should say. I think you're again a little bit limited to more small ball guys or like true centers. For example, Alonzo Mourning's more of a center. He can play the power forward position. He can hit an open 3, but I feel like he's a better option at the center position if you can get him there. Same thing with guys like Cliff Gatling or Cliff Robinson, Clifford Robinson, sorry, Chris Gatling, Anthony Davis, etc. And then you get to the diamond cards that are, again, just a bit too expensive, which, I mean, Carlos Boozer's not bad. Obviously, these guys are also good, but they're just too expensive for the most part, guys like Jeff Ruland. And I just think you're limited at the power forward position a lot right now as well, which is really unfortunate. It's kind of Sharif. And then, honestly, I think the free Juwan Howard that you get from leveling up is actually a very solid option as well if you're looking for, he's not buyable, but he's more of a budget player as well, the type of card you would use in a budget/free squad. Get him at level 25 without even buying the Pro Pass in the level up, so I think he's a very, very good option as well if you are looking for a filler power forward. And I just don't think there's that many great options. This Glenn Davis is good. He's not super common, but he can play power forward as well at 6'9", 83 ball, 80 block, 85 interior, 78 speed, good rebounder, like a solid card in his own right as well. But there just aren't a ton of elite level budget power forwards in my team right now with beyond Sharif Abdur-Rahim. Then we get to center. Best budget center who's readily available is Pau Gasol. I do like this card. I think he's very solid. I think his release is nice. I think he it's slow, but it's smooth and pretty easy to green. He dunks the ball well. Good mid-range shooter. Can hit an open three. Very good interior defender. Very good rebounder. Slow. Definitely not a power forward, even though he is power forward eligible because of his lack of speed. I would not recommend him. There are a couple of good diamond centers that are a little more affordable, but are too expensive. So guys like Jeff Ruland and Cliff Robinson, who are buyouts but aren't unbelievable, I think are a little bit out of that price point for the center position. A couple good gems of the game centers as well. Obviously, guys that I already named like Clifford Robinson, Chris Gatling, Anthony Davis, LaMarcus Aldridge, Nene. There's a bunch of good amethyst gems of the game. So if you can snipe one of those guys, that's really nice. Ruby gems of the game, like I said, Alonzo Mourning is a really good center. Dario Saric is a really good center. If you can get a Saric for a decent price, he's a very, very nice card. The best gems of the game center is this Rafe LaFrentz card. If you can get him for a decent value, which he is rare, but if you can get him as well for a decent value, he shoots the ball at a high level, he dunks the ball at a high level, and he's actually a good interior defender as well. And speed-wise, I mean, it's not amazing, but 69 speed on a guy who's an elite shooter, great rebounder, very good interior defender, and has a good athleticism, and obviously, like I said, an absolutely elite jumper. He is a really, really good card as well. So definitely another name to shout out there who I think is an absolute dog. Even Marc Gasol's not a bad option when it comes to these Ruby bigs. There's a lot of good cards. There's just the problem with many of them when it comes to gems of the game is how hard they are to attain and how hard they are to find. And I think that's really the biggest issue right now is just, and it's the biggest issue in general with this game right now, like is just the lack of supply. It's one of the biggest issues for sure. The fact that a guy like Bruce Bowen is literally completely unattainable on the auction house right now as I record this video, which admittedly is at night, but still isn't ideal. So with that being said, that's several options at each position. Not every guy is going to be incredibly affordable, and you definitely need more budget cards, and hopefully we'll continue to get some more in tomorrow's Ironclad drop. But with that being said, hopefully this video does help a lot of y'all out and give y'all some names to potentially target and look into at each position if you are more of a budget player in my team. So with that being said, that is going to do it for this video. I hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.